Good evening. Om Shanti. And welcome to Insperience. Taking some quiet time for myself. Transitioning from a day of doing a day full of experiences, good or bad or ordinary, this quiet time precedes winding down for the night. As I sit here, let me experiment, if I haven't already, with the eyes open, with the intention to allow all that is happening inside, everything I'm processing, everything I've experienced today, to be distilled into a single point, into a single feeling. But not through force, through letting go, through understanding and patience. Through an intention to let go, through the intention for me just to be back to the state of being real, still, grounded. That gap seems so huge at times. But everyone in the world is looking for peace. And that's really what stillness is, grounded is, letting go, distilling everything to a point. Perhaps not today, but there are days in which I find myself challenged in terms of how my mind is moving. As if internally I'm at a disarray, or even times in which there is tremendous realizations in the day, still a lot of activity inside. How do I condense everything in a way in which my mind slows down, in which I, the being, can come to a sense of rest without checking out, zoning out, suppressing, avoiding. First and foremost, sitting in this space, let me be aware that wherever I am, however I am, I don't need to prove anything to anyone. I don't have to come up with explanations inside. And even at this moment, let me also be aware of the same for everyone else. I don't have to prove anything to anyone, and others don't have to do the same. It's exhausting to try to prove anything to others, and it's exhausting looking at others and thinking of others. That allows me, even if it's just an increasing sense of disinterest on that which is outside, and an interest in me, how I am feeling. An interest in what is going on inside, the patterns. If I can see through the day my patterns of thinking, striving to see things through a lens that I can try to make sense of, that makes sense to me. Even if it is that we judge one another, even if we are all striving for solutions for each other or for ourselves. Just trying to make sense. And why? Because I'm always trying to move forward. I might not actually be aware that's what I'm doing. Trying to be productive, capable, trying to become free. Trying to find meaning. Trying to cultivate a day in which is purposeful to me. And in a sense, all that's going on inside is the end product of my endeavor in the day. The endeavor to see things that make sense to me. And that's what I want to focus on. When something makes sense, there's no more questions. That's why we have questions. That's why we have opinions. We want things to make sense inside. We want things to fit together inside. And so that is what I'm looking for. The things to fit and settle. It might seem like it's out there, but it's something deeper. And that's what this quiet time is for. This quiet time in which I can do that in a more effective way. What needs to make sense is how I feel. When something makes sense, there is clarity. There's less expansion. There's resolution. There's less confusion. So that's what this time is for. For me to get to that space I've been looking for, but may have been using ways that aren't effective. I have done the best I can today. And at this moment, that also means no need to prove anything to anyone. I'm here alone for me. No need to explain myself. No need to hide behind these different roles, occupy myself in these different roles. No need to protect the image. No need to figure out about any of the roles I've had today. Simply are a distraction from what matters the most. That common thread that drives my endeavors. To make sense. And so it allows this ease, even just a little. Everyone is playing their part, just the way I am too. And others can judge me as I can sometimes judge others. But I know I have a story. So that allows me just to stay in this quiet space. No need to justify my story. And no need to also regret or feel bad of what has happened in the day. Because there's no need for show of the image to prove. It allows me to let go. Just to be in this space. Not to try to figure out anything. And yet I am still very much present. Very much awake and alert. But there is this buffer, this freedom in this quiet space on my own. I spend so much time in the day figuring things out, analyzing, processing. So much for the image, for the roles. That this stillness during this time is very refreshing. When I let go in a gentle way with understanding, it allows for this quiet space. And there is stability in this stillness. A feeling of simplicity. In this cocoon to recharge. It's condensing everything to this still point. Just to be. And trusting this state to just be. Will have a deeper sense of an impact, compared to the expansion and the distractions, the draining of my thoughts and energy in the day. This stillness makes sense. I'm not draining. I'm grounded and I feel more real. There isn't that noise in the mind. It's like a power, a capacity. It's what I used to feel in day-to-day life. And being in a state right now allows me not to attach to whatever has happened in the day, allows for neutrality, allows me not to be so invested in all these details. The silence is a capacity I want to accumulate that I can actually carry with me through the day. So needed. So I'm not so influenced, so pulled by all these different directions, spread so thin. No sense of an anchor. This quiet time, this silence is so rich, it feels like home. Grounding. It's in this space I feel more accepting, at peace for whatever is happening. Inside, outside. And allows me to be free, not so invested in what it's supposed to be like, the events of the day. And that freedom allows for more clarity to see things, because I'm not so deeply entangled in all these expectations inside. So this stillness allows me to be more free. Allows me the clarity, allows for real resolution, clarity in solutions. Not tainted by criticism and judgment. That isn't the real me. This is what the world needs right now. Not just a rendition of the old. Not just more band-aid solutions. And yet they're not really solutions. The world is always changing. And how am I to respond in a useful way? I have time to be in this stillness. And just be in that quiet space with the one being who is always anchored. Has never forgotten himself. Never has a physical body in which he loses his sense of self and physicality. It's one being who is always aware of who he is. Because of not forgetting, never changing in his awareness of himself, stays constant, constantly free. Always this constant awareness of being a soul. No second agendas, no preferences. That's what I taste in this stillness. That kind of world that he is in the world I used to be in, but am returning to. I'm seeking for it. Recharging and being grounded with the One. Returning back to a sense of stability, sense of freedom. And when I'm in this space, it feels like home, filled with simplicity. Just feeling connected again and anchored and light. I start to feel this is all that matters. Get back to myself. That's what everyone wants too. It's time to return back to that state. Knowing that every endeavor I've been trying to make is trying to get back to a state of sense. And here I am. Allows me to see what works and what doesn't. Allows me the chance to choose this, to feel what matters. This marks the end of tonight's session. A warm appreciation for those joining us. And also a warm invitation if you're interested in joining tonight's session. On the same channel, we will stop and restart. And we will be sending a notice out soon to everyone. We will actually be having Interview with Raj Yogi twice a week now. Tuesdays and Thursdays, 7:35 to 8:15 p.m. But the focus on Thursdays for Interview with a Raja Yogi is on the theme of a course we often offer, Raja Yoga and You. And different aspects that are taken up in that course, but in this type of form. Both of those sessions, Tuesdays and Thursdays, are with the intention of it being practical. And so we welcome you to join us. If you have questions that you are inspired to send to the center to cover for these sessions, you are more than welcome to. Otherwise, the next session would be on Saturday. 1 o'clock is Insperience and 2 o'clock is Inner Fitness. And the topic for Inner Fitness is Virabhadrasana, which is the warrior pose. Thank you again for joining. Om Shanti.